Hello everyone and welcome back to Solidworks Sunday. Today I'm going to be talking about lofts. What is a loft, you say? Well, you can find out about it by going to our Features tab and you'll see all the things we've already done, which is extrudes and revolves and sweeps. And if you mouse over the loft, you can see it adds material between two or more profiles to create a solid feature. Now, just like the extrudes and the revolves, you have a lofted boss base, which lets you basically do an external profile. And you also have a lofted cut, which lets you cut out the material between those two profiles. Let me show you what we're going to do here. We'll start off with a sketch, go to our sketch tab and hit sketch. I'm just going to choose the top plane. And what am I going to draw? Well, let's start with something with a square base. I'm going to do a center rectangle so I can keep it over the origin point. And, I don't know, we'll do something in that range. Let me go ahead and smart dimension this. We'll make it 3/4 of an inch in each direction. And rather than dimensioning this line, I'm going to go ahead and just add an equal relationship to it. That way, if I have to change this, I don't need to change 2 dimensions, I only need to change 1. So I'm going to choose those 2 lines, make them equal, and now I'm always going to have a square no matter what design changes I need to make. The reason I went with a center rectangle is I want to have a square profile at the bottom and a round profile up top. I'm also going to fillet the corners of this, not by very much, 0.1, let's see what happens. It's going to give me an error, and that's basically because I just did that equal relationship. So it's going to give me that on 3 of the 4 corners. There we go, that looks nice. And that's a lot of relationships. Okay, that sketch is done. I'm going to go ahead and exit it. Click out in the field so it's no longer highlighted. And the next thing I need to do is a little bit of reference geometry. So I'm going to go to my Features tab all the way to the left. I'm going to make a plane that is offset from that first one. So it's asking for the first reference surface. This will be the first and only one. And I did that on the top plane, as you can see by my orange box that's appearing, showing which plane I'm looking at. And I'm going to offset that plane by, let's say, 1.25 inches, something like that. All right, let's go back to our sketch tab. I'm going to open up a sketch. It's going to do it on that plane that I just created. And this time I'm going to make a circle. And I'll tell you what, we're going to make this circle 1 inch in diameter. There we go. All right. Now we can do a loft, and it's going to go from this profile up to that one, and it's just going to blend everything in for us. I'm going to go ahead and exit this sketch as well. And again, click out in the field or hit escape so nothing's highlighted. I'll go back to my Features tab. I'll say Lofted Boss Base. And it's going to ask for the profiles. So the very first one I'm going to choose is that fella, and I can just click anywhere on there. And the second one will be our circle. And you can see our preview where it's square on the bottom and it gently becomes a circle up here. Alright, so that looks good. Let me go ahead and hit that. Let me zoom to fit. Here we have our model. You can see that it is that rounded corner square up to the circle right up here. The example that I had in mind of this was the sockets from a certain tool company with a red and white logo. They're not sponsoring me, so I'm not going to mention them by name, but hey, call me. Anyway, let's go ahead and just complete this socket. I'm going to go ahead and click Sketch. I'm going to choose that round face. I'm going to convert entities. I can convert this edge here because that's the exact circle that I want. I just want to continue that up a little bit. So that means it already knows where that circle is, and it already knows the size, so I just had to do that couple of clicks there, and I already have my sketch. Now I can go to Features, Extrude Boss Base, and I'm going to go up another 3/4 of an inch here. There we are. And alright, now we have that look, and at this point we can put a square drive on the end. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll do another center rectangle. And we'll smart dimension that to 3/8 of an inch. I could do an equal relationship there too, but it's a little bit easier to just dimension it in this case. We'll fillet those corners slightly, maybe a little bit less this time. Go in and do an extruded cut on that. Up top, we'll put in our hex. So I'm going to use the polygon command on this one. I'm going to choose the origin point, which is the center. Make this 0.6875 inches, an 11/16 socket. That defines the inscribed circle, the one that's inside the polygon. I want to then do this. I want to make sure that is listed as 0, so it snaps it around to this 0-degree mark. I could have done that as a horizontal relationship between those 2 points using the Add Relationships button, but instead I just sort of clicked out in the field at a spot that was not snapped to 0, and then I could just use Smart Dimension. Going to extrude cut that, and we'll go in 3/4-ish. There we go. And then most sockets also have a hole through it, so let's go ahead and put that in there. I'll do that down on that face at the bottom of my hex. We'll go ahead and put this right down here, and we'll make that as the same inscribed circle as the other side. We'll make it 3/8 of an inch. That way we can just cut all the way through. And now we have something that looks like a deep well socket. These probably aren't the exact dimensions of one of these deep well sockets from this company because I don't have one sitting in my hot little hand right now. I just don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and create another part, and I'll talk a little bit about when you would want to use this. I'm going to choose the top plane again. I'm going to put a hex down here. And let's see, I'll smart dimension the circle to be, well, that's a little big. That was about 3 inches in diameter. And I'll show you what I was talking about earlier. I can click Add Relation, and I can choose the origin point and this point and give it a horizontal orientation, and it defines the entire sketch. While I create my reference geometry, I'm going to go ahead and talk about when you would want to use this. Lofts are used extensively in tool and die work, especially for injection molding plastic, and I think most of us probably have some experience holding an object that has this particular kind of shape with one profile at the top and one at the bottom. Let's go ahead and draw a circle here, and I'm going to make this something like that. I'm going to make that 3.75, make it a little bit bigger so it flares out a bit more. And let's go ahead and do our loft. Oop, I've got to exit my sketch first. So I'll do my loft between that sketch and the one at the bottom. That's maybe not as pronounced as I wanted it to be, so I could change the face of this sketch. And I can do that by coming into the loft section and choosing sketch 2. which is this, and let me go ahead and just make that 4 inches instead. It'll change up the shape of the loft a good bit. Makes it a little bit more flared. Yeah, there we go. So you can see a bit more of a flare to it. Let me go ahead and hide that plane. And I still think it could probably use a little bit more. So I'm gonna edit that sketch one more time. Let's make it 4.5. All right, exit my sketch. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and edit sketch 1, and I'm gonna add some little fillets in the corners of the hex, and I bet you that's gonna soften things up pretty nicely. Yeah, we'll stick with that. We'll see how that looks. And I'm going to choose those corners here, all 6 corners of the hex. Let's exit the sketch. Oh, look at that. I think if anything, there's probably too much flare up at the top, so let me edit that one more time, and I'm going to go to 4.25. Exit my sketch. Oh yeah, that looks pretty nice. Adding those fillets really softened things up, and I think we're well on our way to making this into a nice injection molded plastic cup. I'm going to cover that in the next video when I go over this shell command, so stay tuned for the next SolidWorks Sunday. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you'd like to help make these videos, please consider supporting me over on Patreon or as a YouTube member. As always, if you have any questions about this or any other SolidWorks or machining topic, leave those down in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. My mom is visiting right now, and her dog is softly snoring over in that chair. You can probably hear it throughout the video. Everybody say goodnight, Gracie.